Welcome to my channel, Wealthwise by Sam Wall. In the era of COVID, we saw from 2019 to 2021, stay-at-home was the norm, and most employers and employees were secured by the money printing machine that the government across the world had unleashed, and they printed money to the tune of trillions of dollars. Now, end of 2021, the money printing machine stopped and COVID came to a soft landing. Now, it might be there in some form or shape, but we started coming to terms of how to live with the minor version of the variants. Now, in 2022, the consumer price index really leapfrogged and inflation took hold. Now, this was partly as a result of the money printing that was done initially in the first 3 years, 2019 to 2021, as well as it was also the job market which had actually increased by leaps and bounds, specifically for companies which embraced remote working and software companies which did video conferencing or remote cloud-based solutions. Those market caps of those companies skyrocketed to all-time highs. Now, what happened in 2021 is when the money printing stopped, 2022 was the inflationary era, right? So inflation started happening and the governments across the world started what we call as monetary tightening and increasing their financial statements more responsibly. Now, one of the issues was the core inflation was really high, almost 9%, and hence unprecedented interest rate hikes started. Now, as a result, companies which were used to the benefits that the governments were providing started belt tightening, and they also started to optimize their financial statements. And one of the core areas they started looking at was human resource. So it started the era of layoffs. And what contributed and accelerated this era of layoffs was the advent of generative AI. So generative AI actually does most of the tasks which were manually done previously, and it also does repeatable tasks with ease. And code writers, and in some cases, all the tech industry was impacted by it. And some of the capitalization of companies which generated AI-based technology like NVIDIA or Palantir, their valuation really skyrocketed. However, AI bought, combined with the inflationary pressure, brought in the pressure to optimize human resource, as both material and equipment can be depreciated and do not become zero technically. But human resource cost is an expense to the company. So companies such as Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and many more started laying off staff. And the 2022 era, we got around 165,000 layoffs happening in the tech industry. In 2023, this almost doubled to 265,000. And in 2024, we expect the trend to continue because the government has adopted the policy, right? Higher for longer. Higher for longer actually means they'll keep the interest rate higher for much longer. This has restricted the cash flow into the market, and hence capital expenses have gone down as well as real estate has gone down. Now, the consumer price index has come to almost 3%. However, the target rate of 2% is yet to be met. So we are looking at more continuation of the tightening cycle, at least till middle of 2024. What will happen is the layoffs will continue as generative AI started getting matured and companies and both consumers as well as clients started adapting this generative AI. Now, in such an era, what can you do in order to protect yourself and keep yourself secured. One of the things that bothers you is the layoffs happening. And there are 5 big red flags. And I'm going to talk about these red flags now so that you secure and protect yourself and preemptively know that something is coming your way. So let's talk about these 5 red flags that the industry or your company might come across. And this could be one red flag or a combination of all of these 5 red flags, but it will tell you to be prepared and take preemptive protection for yourself and for your family. So let's get started with these 5 red flags. So the number 1 red flag is the sector which you are working in or the industry you are working in. How is that doing in the current economy, right? With the tightening of monetary cycle, interest rates going up, how is that impacting, as well as generative AI coming? Now, if you see there are a lot of layoffs happening in your industry or your sector or your specific domain or expertise area, then you need to be aware that this might be ultimately coming to you. So tech layoffs have increased. Non-tech layoffs are expected as well. So again, be aware if you are in an industry sector which is in the news and the world is talking about that industry sector as manpower started getting optimized, then you should be aware of that. And you should take preemptive action to prevent yourself. So the first red flag would be the industry sectors and the layoff happening in your industry sector. The number 2 red flag is financial health of your company and the cash flow of your company. So if your company is kind of doing well, they still might want to optimize. But if your company is not doing well, and if you look at the financial statements of the company and you see net cash flow negative, as well as with venture capital drying off, right, and investors looking for returns because of the high interest rate, you would not want 5 to 6% return on your dividends. You might expect 7, 8, or 10% return on your dividends, which is very rare. But investors would want more returns, and hence that put pressure on the companies, and they try to optimize the manpower, right, and increase profitability, right? So this would impact you because your company would be one of those companies which is trying to balance out their income expense. And again, cutting down on the manpower expense is one of the key areas that most companies look at. So number 2 would be financial health of your company as well as cash flow of your company. Now number 3 would be basically the layoffs happening not within your sector, but within your organization. If you see layoffs happening in related areas, for example, if you are in production planning and you see layoffs happening in logistics or warehouse management or packaging or deliveries or human resource or accounting, or if you are in the tech industry and you find layoffs happening in customer service, or you see layoffs happening in your recruitment department, or you see layoffs happening in your logistics department or infrastructure department, then that would be a big red flag for you, because ultimately within the organization, most organizations management will look at first chopping off fat from areas which are peripheral areas and then coming to the core areas. And again, within this sector, they look at the high net worth or the people who are getting higher salary or higher packages first. And again, this would tell you that you might be or your department might be in line for the next cut in the industry. So be aware of the third red flag, which is layoffs happening in other departments, lines of businesses, or other areas of your company. So that's number 3. Number 4 would be if your management decides, or your bosses or your supervisor decide to move you to a different area, which is not as impactful as where you were, then that would be a telltale sign that the core area where you're working is either being optimized, or they feel that you can be tried out in a different area, which is not as relevant or as important as your core area of competence. Now, if this could be transferred, it could be job rotation, it could be trying you out in another area of the department, but it's kind of a signal that they are trying you out and seeing how they can kind of reshuffle the stuff. But that's, again, one of the red flags which might point out that, hey, if you do not work out in the other areas, which is other than your core area and which they have been trying out, then you could be the next in the line. So again, transferred or reallocation of jobs or roles or responsibilities is the number 4th red flag. Now let's talk about the number 5 red flag. The number 5th red flag, and this is kind of widely prevalent, is the behavior change of your supervisors, the management, and again, your gut feeling within yourself. How do you feel about getting up in the morning, and are you excited to go back into the job? And do you have a sense of respect or self-worth or excitement of going back and doing the work you have been doing every day? So the indifferent approach could come giving you a cold shoulder, not involving in important meetings, not kind of giving you the ear that you deserve, right? And basically trying to ignore you in certain form or shape, which is a very subtle approach. However, you personally know that you deserve better and you are disgruntled from your previous approach that you had in the company, and you do not feel comfortable working in that anymore. So this indifferent behavior or change of behavior of your management towards you, as well as your self-esteem or your internal sixth sense telling you that they do not value me anymore and I don't feel like working with this team anymore, that would be again the 5th and the final red flag. So there you go, guys. I've talked about the 5 red flags, and you guys should take prevention, precaution, and preemptive actions to prevent yourself from coming across any of these red flags. And if you do come across any of these red flags, please be aware that you need to kind of look for betterment for yourself in other ways. So I will create a video. The next video would be what can you do if you come across these red flags in your company? How can you secure yourself? Where can you look for the next opportunity, either within your company or outside the company, or even in the industry, or in a diversified environment? For example, if one industry goes down, for example, banking is going down, the healthcare may go up. So we will talk about this in the next video. And I hope you're enjoying the topics I'm covering. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and we'll continue our journey to give and generate more knowledge and wealth for you, and generally look at success of different areas or opportunities across the economy. Thank you, guys. This is Sam Mall signing off.